and our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Monmouth the new Fletch.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
Gotta return some videotapes.
Hello, horror hounds and fellow crocodile hunters, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
And I'm Bridget Fonda's Ponytail Mike.
Crikey, it's Colton.
It's Fuck Me Jill.
What?
What?
Fuck Me Jill.
Yes. Iconic.
And we are back, and we are very sadly wrapping up JAWGUST with this episode until Mike announces his next pick, which I know deep in my heart will be maybe two-headed shark attack, maybe mega shark versus tiny octopus. I don't know, probably giant octopus. I guess mega shark versus tiny octopus would be kind of awkward.
Yeah, it's an anticlimactic movie.
It's going to be the snuff footage of when I videotape myself letting loose sharks and tiny baby razor-toothed alligators on y'all for doing this to me. And then I'm gonna make you watch it, and then we're gonna have to talk about it.
Can I be excluded from this because I'm an ally? I wanted no part in JAWGUST.
Yes, you're scot-free.
Thank you.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. It wasn't like an official theme month or anything, so.
Yeah.
You guys hijacked it and made it an official theme month.
I feel like it keeps everyone on their toes now, because you just never know when Colton and Rowan are going to hijack a month and name it something ridiculous and say, this is it, guys.
JAWGUST 2 in November.
JAWGUST, the revenge. So we know where we're going to start. What have we been consuming? What have we been watching? What have we been listening to? What have we been reading? All that good stuff. Jill, we're going to start with you. Hopefully, you're recording this time.
I am recording, and I'm going to push my keyboard away so I don't pause it with my spacebar again, like last week. We're all traumatized from that episode. Okay, what I've been up to, on Straight Jacket Talk, we did the 2009 Friday the 13th. So
I've actually never seen that.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw it in theaters.
Oh, you're a real one.
Yep.
It's definitely a departure from the original Friday the 13th, but very, very 2009. Like, that's the year I graduated high school, and it is such a time capsule, and it has pretty good gore in it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I didn't hate it. I kind of liked it.
I think I just liked that Willa Ford was in it.
Is that the girl with the song?
Yes.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
Anyways,
2009 throwback.
Yeah, 2009 throwback. Apart from that, over the weekend I watched the 2018 remake of Carrie, and that was my first time watching that version of it. And I love Carrie, the original, a lot, so I thought I'd check it out. And I know people are really like divided between it. But I really liked it. I'm sorry. It had really good casting. Like Julianne Moore as the mother. She's such a creepy lady. She's always creeped me out, and she does such a good job.
Judy Greer as the coach.
Greer. I love Judy Greer, and you just feel so bad when she gets, burnt up at the end. But yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought it was a nice contemporary version. I rewatched Midsummer. Always a banger.
I stand with you on that
Sorry. What the hell? I love Midsummer. I watched It Comes at Night for the first time.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah, it was not what I expected. For some reason, yeah, I did not expect like a post-apocalyptic kind of, zombie kind of disease kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was okay, but I think I would need to watch it again, maybe. Or maybe I don't. I don't know.
The marketing for that one, like leading up to it, the whole year before, it was like, this is the scariest movie ever made. And like nobody knew what it was about. It just showed like the door in the house.
Yeah.
And then it came out, it was like a post-apocalyptic zombie movie. And everyone was like, yeah, it's not the scariest movie ever made. I did like it. I seem to remember. It was just, I was very much like, what the hell was this movie? You know, not at all what I was expecting.
Maybe the marketing, maybe I would have had different expectations and maybe liked it more. I don't know. I also rewatched The Craft. What else have I been up to? I just finished a book. I just read Bunny by Mona Awad, and I'm obsessed with it. It's so freaking good. It's kind of like psychological kind of horror with like Mean Girls cult vibes with like a little bit of Frankenstein going on in there. Really good twists. Potentially like some schizophrenia in the narrator. So it's interesting to have an unreliable narrator. I really liked that. And the other thing that I read was, so I read a manga.
I was like Satan's foreskin or something. Like,
okay, never mind. Rose at First Sight. It's like a manga retelling of Marie Antoinette's story, but there's like a boy who's really a girl in it as well. I know Willow really likes it, and it's supposed to be like the inspiration for Sailor Moon's art and stuff, so the artwork's really nice. Really cool story. But yeah, I think that's about it of what I've been up to. What about you, Mike?
Okay, weirdly, I haven't been reading much the last couple weeks. I say weirdly as if I always don't read very much.
I feel like on the show you always talk about how you started a book and you like read like the first chapter, and then we never hear you if you've ever finished it or like what your actual thoughts on it were. So
sometimes I finish them and sometimes I don't. Depends. And sometimes I'm just like, it's not worth talking about my feelings any further. So, but I've been watching a few movies. I actually rewatched in the last couple weeks some classics that definitely are worth mentioning. So actually a few days ago, I rewatched one total classic from the olden days that like informed a lot of my personality for better or for worse. And that was John Waters' Pecker, because they just put it on the Criterion channel. And my friend came over for a movie night and he had never seen it, which I absolutely like flabbergasted me. So I said, we're watching it. And of course it was wonderful. It's this like very absurd movie where Edward Furlong from Terminator 2 starts taking like everyday like life street photography and stuff and gets discovered and goes to New York and becomes like famous, but goes back to his like little rinky dinky house in Baltimore and like his whole world has changed. And it's just very John Waters, you know, lots of subplots about teabagging at strip clubs and whether you can show full bush beaver at a lesbian strip club or not. They don't like pubic hair, by the way. And that same night, we also watched a classique from my childhood video store days, and that is Mannequin 2 on the Move.
Stop it.
Which is a sequel to the also classic Kim Cattrall movie Mannequin, but this one stars the unfortunately Trumper right-wing now Christy Swanson as a 1,000-year-old mannequin who can only be freed by her true love taking a necklace off her, and it's full of hijinks, and it's very, very like 87 or whenever it came out. 91, okay, it actually feels more like 87. And then recently I also rewatched, because R.I.P. Shannon Doherty, probably the single greatest movie of my life, Heathers. Everybody needs to watch it.
Great movie.
It's practically a horror movie. Like,
it is a horror movie.
Yeah, it's one of those like once in a lifetime movies that will never be replicated, even though everything, including Mean Girls, tried to copy it. Also watched another John Waters movie, again, unfortunately starring He Who Shall Not Be Named, Crybaby, in 4K, and it looked fantastic. Jill's giving me a death stare right now.
Keep going.
Yeah, and it looks stunning in 4K. It's just absolutely beautiful. And another one that I watched, a classic from, you know, my olden days, because it was leaving. It was literally the last day it was on the Criterion channel, and that was Go from 1999, starring the queen of my life, Sarah Polley. And honestly, that's pretty much all I've done for the last 2 weeks. That and sleep and work. So yeah. Rowan, what about you? What have you been burning through? I know you probably have like a million dad picks.
Yeah, really. Lots of TV going on here in the house. So pretty much every day, Beetlejuice the animated show is on. That's
Shop Till You Freak at the Spooky Boutique.
Yeah, that's kind of Nev's favorite jam right now, and also a lot of Powerpuff Girls, which is like pretty good. I saw an episode. They did a crossover with Teen Titans Go, and I actually really enjoyed Teen Titans Go, so I was pretty pumped. It's got to be like the same creators or something going on there. So really, really enjoyed that. And then a lot of stuff that I can't say I'm watching because I'm not paying attention. A lot of Descendants stuff going on. And
how is that? Because it doesn't look half bad.
If by half bad you mean possibly the worst thing ever made, that's fine.
I don't know. It looks pretty cunty. Like I was watching a clip today on TikTok.
Like, I mean, they're just like Disney soap operas. They're like long. They're all like 2.5 hours long. They're like they're made for TV.
Wait,
so
is it movies?
They're movies, but
I don't even know what these are. All I know is like there's a George Clooney movie called The Descendants.
Oh no, this isn't it. So this is Disney, and it is it's basically about the kids of the villains of Disney, and like they all kind of like live on an island, but they're
oh my god, I did not know that's what it was about. That does sound kind of fun.
They're musicals. They're like zero budget. They're made for TV. They originally air on, I guess, like the Disney Family Channel or something. But yeah, that's been also in some heavy rotation in my house. And yeah, I just glaze over when that happens. We have done a couple, Frasier family movie night picks. So I saw Tangled for the first time, which
I love Tangled. I know
that's
you
a good
didn't
one.
Like it. I saw your
I
rating.
love it as well.
Was not my thing.
Wow,
but do you know about like the artwork and stuff, and like how pivotal of a movie?
Yeah,
it is for, like,
I
Disney?
do. I read up on, obviously, like I do whenever I watch stuff. It just wasn't like every 10 minutes. I was like, how long is this movie?
Yeah, Ro was on his phone Wikipediaing it instead of actually watching it.
Exactly.
Mandy fucking Moore, and you will respect her.
Queen.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me. That's fine. That's okay, guys.
No.
I said last episode that we did the rewatch Inside Out because we were getting ready to go see Inside Out 2. So I did finally go see that at the theater, and I thought it was all right. I mean, Colton, it's kind of everything Colton said when he saw it the first time. Just, it's kind of like the first movie just done over again with a couple added characters and...
Yeah, but you rated it higher than Tangled, which I would never dream of
Oh,
doing,
yeah,
so,
100%.
Yeah, get roasted, Rowan.
I'm sorry. And then we also, the other 3 watches we did with her, we watched the original Halloween, and I mean, that's just a stone cold classic.
Yeah.
So that was a good time. Had by all. Rowan may have had to deal with, a couple nightmares at night about it, and it's all right. It's all settled. But she also loved it. For now. She liked it. We watched the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Awesome, as always. She did not like it, but then came around.
The taste.
Around on it.
Give it time.
And originally you said, what would you give it out of 10? She said 1. And then the couple days later, when she was less cranky, she said, I think I'd give it like a 7. And I was like,
that's my girl. Yeah.
We were like, okay. And then, Dad had his own movie time. So went and saw Trap. Me and Colton have an episode out on it of Now Slain. Go listen to it. It could be a trap listening to us or not. Depends on your thoughts on M. Night Shyamalan. And also, we saw Cuckoo, and there's an episode that'll be out it'll be out before this comes out. Oh, I should mention too, we did watch Wonder Woman also. That was the last of the Frasier family watches.
Banger.
Yeah, which I read your review, and you originally were a hater of that movie. That's like one of the few good DC movies.
The
original Wonder Woman.
He doesn't like period pieces.
I saw it with Rhonda Fraser opening night.
It wasn't accurate. She wasn't flying in her invisible jet.
Well, I don't know a lot about Wonder Woman. I don't read a lot of Wonder Woman. I read the Superman Wonder Woman series from like years ago that I loved.
Banger.
Where that's like one of my all-time favorite comic book series where they're like an item and a couple, and
It was hot.
Yeah, love that. But you guys know how I feel. I don't like period pieces. This is essentially just a World War II period piece. So I just wasn't into it. But like my Letterboxd review said, we watched it with Nev and I kind of came around on it. I don't know if that was like girl dad feelings, like being activated or not. But I thought this time around, I was like, you know what? This isn't that bad. This is actually pretty good.
Yeah. So you grew
They
a
just
soul.
need to recast Wonder Woman, that's all.
I mean, I don't know.
I know.
I like her.
I know it's problematic, but I love
Yeah,
Gal Gadot.
she's just like, she's so good. It's like the Henry Cavill thing.
She's really not, guys. She's awful. An awful
it's
actress
a weird
and
day
an awful
when me and
person.
Colton are agreeing on everything.
No fucking way. Her work in Wonder Woman was so fucking good. You cannot deny that.
Go watch her work in Wonder Woman 84 or all of her other dozen appearances as Wonder Woman.
Just the first one.
No, okay,
I don't
listen,
really care for
I will give you that little cameo in, what was the movie before Wonder Woman came out where she shows up for like 5 minutes at the end?
It's Batman v Superman.
Yeah, that was okay. That was fine. And that was mostly because it was her showing up was the best part of that movie, and it had the Banger Junkie XL score, but anyway.
And she had to save two men who were
yeah,
useless,
exactly.
so,
exactly.
I think she's pretty easily upstaged in her own movie by Chris Pine in that original Wonder Woman movie.
Pine?
Well, you know.
No, she means she only acknowledges Chris Fine.
Ah, gotcha.
So Jill left out. We also watched Bury the Bride for a upcoming Stream Screams, which is Spider-One's second film that he's made. It was a Tubi exclusive, and I think we had a pretty good time with it. So go listen to us talk about that if you're a fan of Rob Zombie and his brother. Hear us talk about it. And then a couple rewatches I did was The Breakup, which is like one of my like all-time romantic comedies. I'm a sucker for Vince Vaughn, and that's like one of my favorite Vince Vaughn performances. And then I rewatched Saltburn because Exilia hadn't seen it before, and we watched it. And I kind of came around on it. I was kind of a hater at first. The second watch, you know, I knew what was happening, and, you know, I had my problematic things with it. I just let it go. And I was like, I guess just as like a silly movie, this is all right.
It was fun.
It was fun.
It was a fun movie.
It was fine. And then, like I said, I haven't watched much. The last thing I watched was The Idea of You.
That sucked balls.
I thought it was all right. I thought it was fine. That was it.
No, it's not. It's so cringy. It's the cringiest thing I've ever seen. I can't believe Anne Hathaway would lower herself to that.
Oh my god, not Oscar winner Anne Hathaway in a cringy, what is it, Netflix or Prime or something?
Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like a cringy, you know, romance story.
Oh, is that the, like, age gap movie?
Yeah.
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 Oh, okay, now I
And
know.
the guy is, like,
Got
basically a member of, like, One Direction. He's, like, a pop
Oh,
star.
yeah. Okay, now I get it.
And, yeah.
Now I kind of want to watch it.
No, it's really bad.
Is it very explicit?
No.
Is there any, like, banging in it?
They bang in it. It's not, like, there's definitely no, like, nudity.
Yeah, but is it, like, restricted or...
I think it's only rated, like, 14 or something.
That's not good, Mike.
You're not seeing any dong, Mike.
There's no dong. But yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was whatever. I literally watched it like 3 a.m, and I was just like, cool, all right, that's fine. And that's literally all I've watched. Like I said, I've just been busy. Colton, how about you?
Yeah, I've been busy too. I saw Trap and Cuckoo for the Now Slaying. I think Trap was kind of a fun episode. It's one of those where I get like a little bit hysterical in the latter half where I'm just like very frustrated at the movie. So hopefully that turned out all right. But literally the only thing I've really watched worth talking about at all in addition to both of those is House of the Dragon. It's finally over. Season 2. Did you finish it, Jill?
Yeah, it was so mediocre at the end.
I know.
What the hell was that?
So literally it was the sort of thing where I was like, the first 4 episodes, pretty solid. I enjoyed it. It was a little bit slower moving. Episode 5 was so boring that I didn't watch the show for like 2 weeks. I was like, oh my God, I barely made it through that. I was like doing timesheets and like weekly like work reports while watching it because that was more interesting. That was the sort of episode it was.
Yeah.
And then basically I just kind of marathoned all 3 last weekend leading up to the finale. And was extremely let down by it, essentially.
It's House of the Dragging it out.
I'm kind of glad I never got into it.
It was so weird because like this whole season was kind of predicated on the idea of like a son for a son. Like, basically I'm going to take, vengeance for losing my son. And basically a big war is coming because of this. And it very much, the whole season's like, yep, war is coming. It's coming all right. And there's like some good skirmishes and there's some build up. Yeah. And then like literally the finale is like, all right, we're all going to like start moving our armies into position for this war that, isn't going to play out on screen until like 2026, the summer of 2026 at the earliest. So
it just sounds like Game of Thrones.
It's so weird though, because like the end of this is already set up. So like it's just so bizarre that they have to like work within this like, okay, we need to make this like lead to all the stuff that has already happened. And it just feels like,
it's like
on rails.
Yeah, I mean, it is on rails a bit, but it is like set like hundreds of years before, at least. So it's like, Daenerys isn't going to be at the end of this, like, basically, I'm the queen or anything, right? Like, it's like her great-great-great-great-grandfather sort of shit, right? So, we know some of it from just through watching the show, or if you're someone who's like a nerd and read the book, which is just essentially like a historical account of the Targaryen like dynasty, like if you're one of those people, you know what happens. But it was just weird where they seemed to be building to something so much in the first half of the season, and then they were just like, oh, originally we had 10 episodes, and now we have 8, but we're not going to rewrite any of it. So it's just like, it's building to something, and then it's spinning. Yeah, so basically they cut the season short from 10 to 8, like a couple of months before they went into production, and essentially...
Oh, was that because of the strike?
No, it wasn't. No, it was just like budgetary issues leading up to it. It was like a few months before the strike. So basically they were just like, screw it, we're just going to stay the course for what we had. So like the big war was probably going to be in episode 9 or in episode 10, and now it's just, it'll guaranteed get delayed further into the season because there's no way the first episode back is going to be like this huge war, like, without setting everything up again, because there's just a 2-year gap, right, before the next season. So yeah, I was pretty underwhelmed by it all in the end. There's still some good stuff, like especially in like, episode 6 and 7 or whatever. Like they weren't bad episodes. It's just like the finale was very underwhelming, I thought. And you felt the same, Jill?
Yeah, for like that franchise, the fans that are tuning in are essentially Game of Thrones fans. So you're expecting kind of like a jaw-dropping episode every episode. Like you become accustomed to that. And here they do a good job of that most of the time, but it's not ever going to be the same as Game of Thrones. But that episode was like, like an episode 8 episode. It needed 2 more episodes to get there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, if you can't do it right, like, I don't know. It just wasn't the way to do it, and everyone's pissed about it. And everyone's pissed about Danon being in Harrenhal for, like, the whole fucking season, just being haunted.
I was pretty annoyed by that, too.
Like, no. It got real annoying, yeah.
Yeah, as a book reader, that I've read George R. R. Martin go on and on about, like, how Harrenhal, is full of ghosts and makes people go crazy and possesses people and all this shit. I understand that you want to see someone lose their mind there. You do not need to see someone consistently lose their mind for 5 or 6 episodes in a row, just doing the same sort of like dream sequence shit over and over again, even though it had some fun cameos and they were able to like bring back dead characters from season 1 and stuff. Like that was fun. I was just like, what a waste of a character to do this with like one of the main characters all season, just have them like stuck in a castle losing their mind. It's just, yeah, there's definitely some baffling decisions for sure. That's it. That's all I've been watching, Rowan.
Well, with that, let's jump in the time machine, go to 1999, Lake Placid. 1999, what a year. I was buying like Source magazine, just carrying a boombox around town, listening to music.
Were you a Vibe subscriber? I bet you were.
No, I was actually the Source and Double XL.
So you were like not into like the high pedigree stuff. You were like
trash,
down and dirty. Okay,
yeah, down and dirty, trash. I think Master P was on the cover that year. I remember the first one I bought, but yeah, Lake Placid, Colton's pick. Why don't you talk about why you chose this And because the viewers can't see, I can't believe this, but not only do I have a collector's edition in my hand, I also own the VHS.
The VHS cover goes hard, though.
I don't know why I picked this. I truly don't. Last episode, I went into the episode saying it's Shark Attack 2, and for whatever reason, as we were discussing Jaws throughout the episode, I got possessed by this idea of what if I just changed the pick? But it's still kind of fitting JAWGUST. So I was scrolling around just looking at different, creature features, animal attack movies. And, there's this big crocodile on the front of this one, Lake Placid. And I said, you know what? Let's all watch Lake Placid. And I thought that it was a very good follow-up to Jaws because, I revealing my hand a little bit, I have a feeling it's probably not as effective at Jaws. As Jaws in terms, hiding this creature beneath the water and preying on everyone as they kind of like swim around and whatnot. So I just thought it'd be a fun, basically double feature of Jaws and Lake Placid, but still fit our unofficial JAWGUST theme.
Well, with that, let's get in the trailer and we'll be back with the synopsis and first experiences.
We heard a man was bit in half.
It's a crocodile.
50 feet.
They came here to study it.
Some kind of mutant. Nobody goes near the water.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going back in the water. They came here to save it.
You set a trap on the beach.
Come and get it!
The question is,
where is he?
Who will save them?
Kelly!
What's that?
Lake Placid.
He didn't eat me.
Because he just ate a cow, stupid. Rated R.
Lake Placid was directed by Steve Miner and written by David E. Kelly, and the story is as follows. When a man is eaten from the waist down by what is believed to be a new species of underwater bear, it's up to a local game warden, a yuppie paleontologist, a superstar mythology professor, and a homophobic sheriff to hunt the beast down.
Is he really homophobic? I'm sorry.
Kind of. I mean, at least he's just making all these jokes that, at the time were, I don't know, probably not too homophobic, but I don't know. He's problematic through a modern lens, kind of.
I'm sure we'll get into it. So our first experiences, is this our first time seeing it? Or, like I just showed off, for some reason do you own this on multiple medias? Which I didn't even realize. I didn't realize I had it on Blu-ray, to be honest.
Oh my god, shocker.
Well, but it's not that much of a shocker. It's a Scream Factory release, so that doesn't surprise me. So yeah, Lake Placid. Colton, how many copies do you got?
Guys, I've never seen this before.
Oh,
I chose it because as a kid, I don't know what it was. Like, obviously I love these Shark Attack movies. I loved all the Jurassic Park movies, Anaconda. Like I'd watch literally everything. The Edge with the grizzly bear. I've watched all of these creature features, and I was obsessed with alligators and like Crocodile Hunter and shit. But for whatever reason, I've never seen Lake Placid. So I said, you know what? It's time to check out Lake Placid. So it was a first time watch for me, and I use watch kind of loosely. There was a lot of, just on my phone scrolling around and taking notes as well. But yeah, first time watch for me. What about you, Mike?
So technically I've seen this before.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was one of those that I feel like we had it on the movie channel when we all used to just get together at each other's houses and hang out, drink Pepsi and eat pizza and stuff. And it was sort of on in the background. I obviously, creature features, I could take or leave, depending. And I feel like I might have half paid attention to it because Bridget Fonda was in it. And even at that age, I was obsessed with Bridget Fonda. And I literally could not have told you anything other than fucking Betty White swearing every 30 seconds that happened in that movie. So I was rewatching it for this episode, and I was I kind of vaguely remember this, but if you put a gun to my head, I wouldn't be able to tell you anything that happens in it. So it was sort of, I'm going to call it my re-virginizing of this movie. So I'll call it a first watch. Jill?
Yeah, this is my first watch. Never had heard of Lake Placid before. When I was watching this, though...
Actually?
Yeah.
This is a historic video rental.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No,
oh my god,
yeah.
this was
No, it is.
huge
100%.
posters of it everywhere in
not
video
in my
rental
circle.
spots.
Okay.
Oh my god.
I
Girl's
wasn't.
never been to a Blockbuster.
Actually, I haven't been.
What about
By
Jumbo
the way,
Video?
They probably had posters of this up in the gas station.
True.
In that corner of the gas station.
I don't recall it.
The poster goes hard, so.
I did make it to a Jumbo Video when I finally went to university, and then they got shut down. Anyways.
I know exactly which one you went to.
Yeah, the one off of, was it Torbay Road?
Yeah,
next to the Chesses. Anyways.
Attached to the Maries. Anyway.
Yeah.
They have really good whoopie pies. Really miss Marie's. But anyways, when I was watching this, I, for some reason, was convinced that this was one of Colton's childhood movies. And so my husband was watching it with me, and I was explaining to him, I was like, yeah, Colton grew up Pentecostal, so he couldn't watch any horror movies. So, he loves Jurassic Park, and he grew up watching Lake Placid. And then when all the swearing started, I was like, there's no way he was allowed to watch this as a kid. But anyways, I got it all wrong. Rowan.
Yeah, I definitely saw it when it came out. There's no way I didn't see it. And I remember bits and parts of it, and I can't say something I go back to all the time. I said I have it on VHS and Blu-ray. This is the first time I've opened the Blu-ray. I've never been man, I gotta put it in Lake Placid. But there's a guy at my work that loves Lake Placid, and I know he's very excited for this episode. And I know I might have watched it with him at work a couple of years ago or something. But even watching it this time, I also didn't remember anything that happened in it. So it's almost like every time I've seen it, it's the first time. So yeah, that's my first experiences. So let's get into the main discussion. Let's get into the, I don't know,
fuck meat of it all.
Jesus Christ.
Wasn't it fuck shit?
It was fuck shit.
Meat.
And fuck meat was Betty White, and the other one was Fonda.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, Lake Placid.
Are you ready to rate it, or?
Okay.
Yeah, Lake Placid. I thought for me, as I started watching this, was once again just Jaws. So recent in my memory was how much this movie lifts from Jaws. I was gonna say Laws for some reason. Lifts from Jaws very poorly, and also lifts from Jurassic Park very poorly, and then kind of makes this, I don't know, strange 90s kind of raunchier version of those movies, but just way more poorly. The score, I remember in Jaws I was oh yeah, it's really fantastical for some reason. It's kind of strange. This movie begins the same way. It's kind of weird fantastical score for some reason, but then they start using the 2-chord thing that Jaws does, but but it's I don't know,
it's
a violin or something this time, or a woodwind instrument or something. So it's prolonged each of the 2 notes, and it's okay, I know you're going for Jaws because we got the Jaws camera underneath the water, and you hear the music and it's going up towards their legs or something like that. But it's just it doesn't really work here in the same way. It was kind of the vibe I was getting.
I had the exact same note about the soundtrack, or the score, because I just thought even when you could tell they wanted to give it this kind of horror tinge to the score, everything sounded way too adventure movie entirely. I just didn't think, other than adventure score, nothing ever hits to oh yeah, we're in a horror score now.
Yeah. Also, the sound mixing on this was really bad for me. The dialogue would be super quiet, and then the sound effects start happening, and I had to have my remote control on hand at all times, because I was just going up and down, because it was really fucking loud or really quiet.
Can I ask you how you watched it? If you're comfortable saying.
What do you mean? I watched it. I rented it on Prime.
Oh, okay.
And watched it in my living room.
No, Mike and I pirated it. That's what he's alluding to. And our sound was bad as well, but it's because they mix it all to one channel, and then you have to put it up on 100 to hear anything. That was my experience watching this.
Well,
movie.
that's the problem. You're not watching the 2K restoration by Scream Factory. My sound was beautiful. My sound was actually
$4.
Wow.
Was actually fantastic. I was gonna say, I think it's probably good to also start off written by David E. Kelly. This is the only horror movie he's ever
bizarre.
written.
I didn't noticed that back in the day because I don't think at that age I like knew who he was. Like I knew some of his TV shows and stuff.
Yeah.
But like when I put it on, I was like, excuse me? I almost like missed it. I was like, what?
I was going to say, like, if you don't know, David E. Kelly's the creator of like Ally McBeal, Boston Legal, like a lot of these like really famous 90s drama shows.
Yeah, he had at least 12 or like 13 like huge shows between like the 90s and the 2000s, like huge.
But he is like a TV writer. He isn't like a movie writer. I think he only wrote like one other movie or something, like one or two other movies.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just interesting between him and then, you know, I didn't realize that Steve Miner was the director of this till after, which like, talk about like some horror chops.
How dare you?
Directs,
the pedigree.
Yeah, directs probably the best Friday the 13th film.
Yep.
Part 2, Halloween H2O, like House,
one of the best
Warlock.
Halloweens.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for 4 years from now when we do that one.
but yeah, like him and even the cinematographer, Darren Okada, who is like Steve Miner's, like that's who he works with. Like these guys actually have like some pedigree in the horror scene. So I just thought it was interesting because I was like, you can kind of tell this whole movie because I can tell by Colton's faces he's making that maybe we have a difference of opinion. I thought some of these shots did work, like whether or not the special effects or whatever like look good, but I did like some of the shots, and I was like, you can just tell like these two guys are trying to take this David E. Kelly script that they obviously want to be this like horror comedy, and they're just like, what do we do with this? Like, how can we make this scary whatsoever?
I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but exactly what shots did you think were beautiful in this movie?
I mean, I'll say right now, like one of my favorite shots, oh jeez, I feel like I'm going to get called out on this one. But I thought when Kelly like falls into the water and we have like the crocodile attack of her in the water, like I thought that looked fine. Like I thought it looked pretty good. Like the water's murky, but like that part, I like, especially that scene, I was like, this feels like an actual creature feature horror movie where like I felt most of the attack stuff with the crocodile, which I'm saying right now on record, there's an issue. Like someone needs to get, Jaws had like, his name's Brucey. Like this crocodile needs a name.
They never had a name for it.
Yeah, they need a name for the crocodile. Like that's...
I mean, they don't call him Bruce in the movie though.
No, but I mean, there's got to be a nickname. There's got to
okay.
be a nickname for him. So I don't know if we have to run some sort of contest or something that you need to name this crocodile. But yeah, like I just thought a lot of the attack stuff in this wasn't scary. It didn't feel like a horror movie. Like I said, I'm going to keep saying this felt like an adventure movie to me way more. But I thought like that scene was shot really well with the murky water. And I mean, I'm sure we're going to get into how the crocodile looks and stuff. So I'll wait for that. But like that scene in particular is an example of what I enjoyed.
I will say this in Rose's defense. I actually made a note that I quite enjoy the way that Steve Miner films water at night. That's all I'm saying. I loved it in Friday 13th Part 2. I just like the way it looks. He always makes it look a certain way, and it's appealing to me. I'm not saying it's like some beautifully shot movie, but I was just like watching the shots of the water and going, I can dig this.
And we're dealing with chops. Darren Okada, cinematographer for movie 43. So
Mean Girls and Dr. Dolittle too. It's a
and Halloween H2O.
American Reunion. Come on, like
the fourth American Pie movie.
Yeah.
Seventh, whatever it was.
Yeah, I'll say like I didn't think there was anything impressive on the cinematography front for the movie, but that one scene that you're talking about where she falls into the water, I did think there actually was some good tension built up there. But at the end of it, especially where you get like the overhead shot and she's kind of getting like pulled out of the water like into the boat, I was like, if this was Jaws, Bruce would just barely surface just below the water here now, and you'd see him and like see how large he is compared to the boat and stuff. And in this movie, obviously, the name of the lake is called like Black Lake. So you get like, it's like, oh, it's so murky, you can't see anything in the water. But it's also just like a crutch where they never have to show like the crocodile beneath the water at all. And I was just like, oh, you missed out. You could add a good little, horror beat there of the crocodile just beneath the water, just missing her. I would have liked that, rather than I think its head kind of bursts out and rips off the deputy's head like a second later instead. Like, that's where this movie goes. It's never like really like subtle or tense. It's just like, oh, someone's going to lean over the boat and the CGI crocodile is going to fly out and rip his head off in like 2 frames. So you can't even really process or see what happened, rather than, the way it
literally took them talking about it for me to realize that that's what happened. Maybe just because I looked away for like 1 second and I was like, oh wait, did he fall in? And I'm like, no, he's still in the boat.
I was so
they
confused.
just weren't showing it.
I thought Hector died. So when he, like in the next scene when he's like walking up from the beach, I'm like, oh, it must have been the other guy then, because just like it all happened so quickly and I didn't get like a good glimpse at it.
So what was funny is I actually thought it was like a goof of the movie at a certain point, because they have a wide shot when they're kind of coming into the boat, and it's like her and I don't know, maybe it's Hector. She's talking to somebody in the boat, but when the camera's coming in, you see a third person in the boat, but they're never framed in the reverse shot or anything when they're talking. So it's like, oh, maybe that was the cinematographer or the camera operator or whatever, who knows? And they just were like, no one would notice that. But he comes back, he's the guy who gets his head ripped off. So I was like, okay, well, he was set up, he's just in the back of the boat and like in none of these shots for whatever reason. So I was like, okay, it was actually not a mistake. That was actually continuity, of course.
I gotta say something. Next time we watch this, if we ever watch it again together.
Next time. All right. Okay.
Or, in the future.
Are you going to nominate
Maybe.
this as an episode we redo?
Maybe like down the line, because I think we could have a drinking game where every time Kelly either falls in the water or gets hit by a decapitated head, you drink. Because that happened like 6 times in the movie and it was so funny.
I think we could also have a drinking game whenever anyone's like a little bit too horny in this movie as well.
Also that.
Or when someone sexually harasses or gets sexually harassed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or commits some kind of HR faux pas, which happens 5 times before the fucking credits open.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was quite wild when I was watching this. Like right off the bat, I'm just like, oh my God, this woman stole, what was his name? David or something, or I forget, like the intro scene essentially to this, our heroine Kelly is just like her upset over her boss moving on from her to sleep with another colleague, and then the colleague and them are going to continue their relationship and dumping her and moving her to Maine to go look for this crocodile. I was like, this is a 90s ass setup where it's like all women are good for in film is like ogling. Like, especially like at this like level of like film production, it was like they got to talk about sex all the time and they have to be a sexual object essentially in this movie.
And then I was just like, not that co-workering the Mariska Hargitay.
Sorry, okay. Was she in more of the movie? I never even noticed.
No, but she's Olivia Benson.
Yeah, she's the star of Law and Order, SVU.
For like 25. She literally started that like 2 months after this.
Guys, I've never watched Law and Order, and I'm not going to start now.
But you don't have to. It's such a cultural institution. You should know this by osmosis by just being interested in the arts. Wow. She's also no, she's not Natalie Wood's daughter, is she? Wait, yes. No, she's Jane Russell's daughter. Or Jane Mansfield's daughter. Anyway.
Although, shout out to her boss, Kevin, played by Adam Arkin. Just a great 90s, like, character actor. Also the dad in Halloween H2O.
You love Halloween H2O.
What do you guys think about everyone, like, lusting after Hector in this movie, where he's, like, a rock star philosophy teacher or some shit, or mythology teacher?
I think his occupation is bullshit, because nobody would ever become a star with that occupation, but I do get everybody lusting over Oliver Platt because he is a fucking rock star and beautiful and charismatic.
I fucking love Oliver Platt. I like the best part about this movie is Oliver Platt. I mean, the best part about this is the cast. This is one of the most 90s casts in a movie I think we've ever done.
Bill Pullman squinting through the whole movie. Yeah.
Like, he had nothing in this movie, though. He was just like cardboard. I was like, who is this guy?
But that's what he does. Bill
so
Pullman
boring.
Gives nothing. He's like not even an everyman. He's like in every cardboard box. Yeah. But like, he's just so inoffensive And, you know, like, kind of, he seems like it could be anybody or nobody. He's actually more nobody.
I mean, I get why
anything.
Kelly's into him, because Kelly's probably like, I heard this guy can really rouse people up on Independence Day, so she heard his speech-giving skills are great.
I cannot.
So, you know, we're talking about, like, you know, this feels like an adventure movie. Like, everyone in this apparently is just, like, super misogynistic. I mean, quite obviously, David E. Kelly just hating women or writing women in this. But I'm just, like, curious about the overall tone of it. Like, it's a really weird tone, even for a horror comedy. Because it's, like, not that funny whatsoever, and it's not that scary. Like, did any of the tone of this work for anybody? Like, was there ever a moment you were scared? Was there ever a moment you were laughing really hard? Like,
yes.
I was kind of laughing at it at times, yeah. I will say that. Like,
go ahead.
You go first, Jill. Tell them where you were
when
laughing.
Hector goes down, like, when he dives into the water, and he's like, fuck, I can't remember it. It was like, do you know what? It's the fucking log one. Shit.
Oh, I can't remember.
Hold on, let me
chew the bark off my fat log.
Yeah,
you can chew the bark off my big fat log.
Yeah.
For me, when I was watching it was just that a random grizzly bear runs out in the middle of a scene, and all of a sudden we have like this action set piece where they're running away from grizzly bear, and then it's just like the crocodile hops out and eats the grizzly bear, and I was just like, okay, that was like a note. That was like done in post somewhere, where basically they were like, yo, this crocodile hasn't eaten anyone in 15 minutes in our crocodile eating movie. And they were just like, we need something. And I was just so shocked that I was like, oh, there actually were bears here. So, like, not everyone was crazy thinking that it was some
thinking that a bear was underwater eating people in half.
Yeah.
The bear was giving me, like, Jurassic World when you got, like, the two big-ass fucking dinosaurs at the end. But this one, you got the croc and the bear. Mm-hmm. I was digging that.
Good shit.
Also, one thing that was really funny, I didn't finish my quote. At the end of that, it was Brendan Gleeson's character goes, is that some kind of homosexual remark? Also, love him. It's fucking Mad Eye Moody from Harry Potter. And he's just, you can hear his, like, accent sometimes. It's like, it's there.
The places our brains go, because whenever I see Brendan Gleeson, all I think about is Gangs of New York.
He's Mad Eye Moody to me.
And all I think about is how, like, one of my friends had a Grand Seduction poster on the wall. So it's just like Brendan Gleeson just sat there on the poster the entire time.
Yeah. Dude, he's so good though, and so funny. Like, another funny part to me was in the beginning, the boat is like sank down because he's sitting on it and the other guy's in the water and he's just like unwrapping Twinkies.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. And there was a lot of fat jokes and he's not even like that big of a dude, which I thought was funny.
He's literally the same size as as Harry.
As
Hector, not Harry. Yeah, Hector.
Yeah.
Like, they're the exact same size. So that's what, to me, was funny about it. It's just like, this guy's just ripping into him.
Well, I found that funny, too, because, like, Hector's, like, this, like, rock star, like, you know, sexual being in this movie that, like, women are throwing themselves at him, and then this other guy's just eating Twinkies and, you know, calling people fairies or whatever he's doing in this movie. Fruitcakes, yeah.
I thought when he was eating the Twinkies, I thought that might have been like an editing error, because I didn't know if he had more than one Twinkie, and I was like, oh, didn't he already unwrap this Twinkie
he's on
and
his second.
eat it?
I think that's part of the humor, the subtle, like, little jabs, you know?
Also, isn't there usually 2 Twinkies in a package?
No, they're single.
Oh, excuse me.
When you buy them in a box,
I can't believe I didn't get the brilliantly written, subtle humor of Lake Placid.
Yeah, this is some highbrow stuff, Rowan.
Yeah,
try and keep up.
It was funny. Like, that was a funny movie. And then Kelly, when she's like using the can of Raid as bug spray, I really relate to Kelly because I hate the fucking outdoors. Like, I'm not going to a tent. I'm not dealing with bugs.
She's so brutal in this movie, though.
She's brutal, and I, like, really connected with her. I think I'm a bitch. After watching this, I realized that's like looking in a mirror.
She was me every time I went camping. Yeah.
Yeah. And she says such crazy stuff. I don't know. I love her.
But, like, Jack and Hank, like, aren't in the wrong this entire movie, because I'm just like, you know, they're questioning why she's there. They're questioning why Hector's there. And I'm like, these are pretty valid questions. Like, why would a museum send this person? I mean, we get the setup, but like, really, why? And like Mike said, like, this guy's a rock star mythology professor. That has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on.
He says something to do about like crocodiles and being worshipped and stuff at a certain point in the movie. But yeah,
he travels and he follows them all over the world.
Do you think he's a prototype for Elon Musk? He's like the inspiration for Elon?
Absolutely not. But I like the existing rapport that Kelly and Hector had. Like she's in this museum academic kind of world, and she knows him. She sees his decked out crocodile skin helicopter come in, and she's already like, oh, that's this guy, blah 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 blah. I thought that was really funny, and when he makes the joke about having sex with her, which obviously they didn't, he's just being an asshole. I thought that was fucked up, but it was kind of funny. I don't know. I love what they bring to the table, and it does make sense to send her out there to look for the tooth or the whatever the fuck they're looking at.
No, it doesn't.
For science, for
she's
history.
A paleontologist. This is a living creature. It's not fossilized.
I'm also confused at what they bring to it. Like, is Hector bringing the musical trappings of Tom Jones, or what's going on here? When that song plays, that it's not unusual. That I did laugh really hard at that part, because I was like, what is this song doing in this movie? And then the dance, Oliver Platt, just the winner of this movie, Oliver Platt.
They were dancing to make noise to attract the crocodile.
He was trying to fuck. That's what was going on.
He was trying to fuck Natty Gann. What? She's Natty Gann.
Is that the one that literally says okay, please, I'll have sex with you. Let's just get out of here. Let's not go in the water.
Yeah. Another misogynist thing.
Yeah.
If you're going back to your point, she's the only other female in this movie except for Betty White that and she's super sexualized. The only woman in this movie that's not over sexualized is Betty White.
She's too old. That's gross.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is the late 90s. They're not going to sexualize an old person.
Absolutely not.
Even if it is Betty White.
I have to go with Jurassic Park at some point. When I was watching this movie, I was like, this shit is blatant. Literally, the way we cut to the protagonist in New York, and she's got the little brush going on dinosaur bones, paleontology, and I'm like, okay, where is this going? Even the way the camera moves, introduces her, it reminds me of Alan Grant. The helicopter coming down, he gets the John Hammond intro Hector does in the movie, where it's everyone's who's this guy? And they're all kind of looking up, and they're not at a dig site, but they're at kind of this campsite, obviously, and it's kind of flying in and ripping everything up and kind of being a nuisance. He gets the John Hammond intro. There's the fucking they drive away at one point when the croc comes out of the water or something. There's another scene where it's the cow over, dangling the cow.
Poor fucking cow.
Oh man, it was a real cow in this too, and I could
the
tell.
cow had a name, didn't it? I think they gave the cow a name, or did I hallucinate that?
The cow was in duress. I could tell.
That is animal abuse. For
I could
real.
tell in this movie that the cow was not happy. But in Jurassic,
this is one of those where they can't say at the end no animals were harmed in the production of this movie.
Yeah, there wasn't the Humane Society stinger on the end of this one, I don't think. But yeah, it's a mixture of when they lower the bull into the raptor cage for it to get ripped apart, and then also the goat scene that they use to lure the T-Rex out. It's the timing and how it changes the night because they've been waiting so long. All these aspects when I was watching, it's just bro, you're just straight up lifting parts from Jurassic Park. It's Jurassic Park and Jaws together, but instead of it being dinosaurs or a giant shark, it's a fucking crocodile, and Everyone's more horny, essentially, like when I was watching
Jurassic Park.
Whoa. Whoa.
He was like, you know, it'd be great if you took Jurassic Park, mixed it with Jaws, and then added Ally McBeal. That is a movie. That is a hit.
It's a film.
Yeah. It is a film that plays.
But yeah, as someone who's a fan of like Jurassic Park, there was loads of points that I was like, this is pretty blatant. And also for like another like big creature feature, I was like, oh, okay. I don't know. There's probably some of it was homage, and some of it was probably like unintentional, just lifting, I would say.
So I was going to say, I was kind of disappointed because, you're talking about they set up this paleontologist and like, I kind of felt the movie was fighting against itself because to me, the idea of this really old crocodile that could be like almost prehistoric, like, so it really is this like creature feature monster movie. But like, I felt like the whole time the movie's just trying to take out its own legs where they continually be like, oh no, like, this crocodile could exist right now. Like it could be a crocodile from right now. That's fine. It could be this big and, it could be from this place in the world and it just swam over here. Where I was like, I don't know. I feel like if it was more like this thing could not exist in our time and it's eating people. I'm like, to me, that's more of a horror movie than just like, I don't know, this giant crocodile from India swam over here and, now it's here. So
they didn't explain the secret either.
Weren't they saying like at one point, but the largest ones that have ever been recorded were X, Y, and Z, and it was like smaller ones than this. And I thought that was implying that this had eluded record for however long. I don't know. Maybe I was just reading too much into it.
I mean, I looked it up, and it's like bigger. It is a lot bigger, but like even recorded ones I saw can be like 20-something feet long. Like they've recorded those before, so it's like 30 feet isn't like that much of a like, whoa, this is crazy. It's like, okay, this is like a couple feet bigger than ones that you have found already. We briefly brought up Betty White, but I was just curious, like, law enforcement just really dropping the ball with her, eh? Like, she admits to murder at first, basically just admits to anything you could arrest her for, and they're all just like, oh, this lady, like, she's so silly. And they're just like, you stay here and we're not going to arrest you. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you should just arrest her. Like,
they're busy. They're busy with the crocodile. They don't have time for this lady. And then she's like making baby crocodiles in the fucking lake anyways.
Would you let baby crocodiles nibble on your toes?
Mommy's toes.
Do you think that she mated with the crocodile?
No, there was two crocodiles.
It was the little one. There was that other crocodile that comes
Which
up.
One?
Right
Which
after
one do you think is the girl crocodile? The big one?
Big one.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
She's the dommy mommy.
So the big one is the female, we think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
I just thought it was interesting that everyone in this movie so concerned about this crocodile's well-being. That second one came, they blew the shit up out of that, and no one gave a shit. They were like, cool.
Yeah,
Screw
that was like
crocodile.
Chekhov's elephant gun or whatever they did. They set it up right in the beginning of the movie, and then they just couldn't use it on the big croc. So they were like, we just need another one. Just blow the shit out of it right at the end of the movie. I thought the scene with Betty White where she says, come and get it, and shoves the cow into the croc's mouth. I was like, whoa, Betty White can push a cow, first of all. That's pretty impressive. But also, it was just like so
She's done
blatant.
some cow tipping in her day.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, it was just like so blatant that I kind of chuckled at that scene as well.
Do we want to have, like, we haven't had the conversation about, like, the actual crocodile. So I had in my notes that, like, I get it. The CGI, especially where the crocodile is CGI for some of this, they did a mix of, an animatronic and that. But I didn't think it was, like, atrociously bad. Like, for 1999, I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure it's been a long time since I've seen it, but, like, I'm pretty sure Anaconda was way worse with the CGI. And this did have the, I guess the luck that, like, we did get scenes with an animatronic crocodile. I thought, like, when you knew it was the animatronic, it looked pretty good. So, I mean, it also showed it's Sam Winston that did the crocodile.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't mind the effects at all.
Yeah, like, I thought it looked pretty good for a movie that, going into it, not really remembering anything, I'm like, oh, shit, this is going to look really bad.
Weren't they one of the producers, too? His, like, studio or whatever?
Yeah, I think it's called, like, Stan Winston's House or something. And, but yeah, I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think it looked like shit. Like, obviously it's a bit dated, but it's from 1999. And, when it's fighting the bear there for a quick moment, I was like, okay, like obviously the shadows are off, the lighting's off. It looks a little goofy, but it wasn't atrocious, is what I'll say. Like, let's say like near the end of the movie when it's stalking Hector and kind of coming towards him, and they're doing extreme close-ups just on like its eye and whatnot. I was like, okay, it looks fine. And even when it grabs the helicopter, I feel like it grows in scale very strangely to grab the helicopter, but it still looked kind of like technically fine. It was like goofy, it was silly, but I don't think it was atrocious or anything.
I thought it was kind of interesting. Like I was reading too, I guess the animatronic crocodile like actually could swim. They made it so that it could swim underwater when they used it. So I thought like that was kind of cool. So obviously they must have shot some of that stuff with with the animatronic one underwater. So, I mean, you got to give them the hats off to that one. That's pretty sweet. And I was going to say, my other big question was just like, we were talking about, the sheriff and Hector kind of going at each other and the horniness, all that. But like, is it just me or is it just like this entire town, everyone that came to this town, like everyone's just kind of mean? Like, this is the most mean people I've ever seen in a movie.
I feel like that's also taking they're borrowing a little bit from Jaws, where they're like, no outsiders, and they're mean to the Florida people. They're mean to the outsiders there, and they're just like kind of joking around. But I don't know. I thought it was funny, so I liked it.
Does that make us mean people? Or
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Not even, I don't even have to think about that.
What this movie was really missing is I wanted there to be a scene where Hector reveals his dark backstory and talks about how all these men were eaten by crocodiles around him on like a river boat sinking in, southern Louisiana or something, I
while they're drinking?
While they're drinking, yeah.
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 They need a bigger boat, for real.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Their boat
that's
is
what this
so
movie was
tiny.
missing.
Yeah. It's Jaws with a smaller boat and a crocodile and Twinkies.
Did anyone else pause the movie and rewind to see if that was actually a moose head? Or am I just crazy? when I was watching it. Yeah, there was a moment in the movie where they're like, I don't think a bear can bite off a moose's head. And I was like, wait, was that a moose head? I thought it was like a deer head. And I had to rewind by like 20 or 30 seconds and look, and I was like, wow, it actually was a moose.
Yeah.
I was going to say, was it? Yeah, I didn't even.
It was.
Well, that's where all Newfoundland's moose came
from. And we
from.
know our moose, yeah.
It's from Maine and New Brunswick, I think, or something like that.
Do you think there's possibly like a crocodile of this size out by Mundy Pond?
There definitely
I hope
is.
so.
Wait, what's that little spot up by Signal Hill? That there's definitely a giant like 40-foot crocodile up there. Yeah.
Just like it's been eating on all the people hanged at the gallows
for
hundreds of years. Yeah. I'm gonna get writing.
There's some underground tunnel. Yeah.
Or the sewer croc.
Yeah.
In the bubble.
I was gonna say another funny thing I thought you brought it up like briefly there, Colton, was our whole review, our whole movie watching experience of Lake Placid. No Lake Placid in it.
Yeah. That was pretty wild.
Yeah. I did not remember that the lake wasn't called Lake Placid. And they make the comment that, there's another Lake Placid, so we're not allowed to use that name.
Do they say that in the movie?
Yeah, when they're in the boat.
Okay, I was going to...
When they're in the boat,
I don't even remember them mentioning Lake Placid in the movie. Okay.
Yeah, they, I think the sheriff, makes a comment. He's like, they wanted to name it Lake Placid, but there's already one named that, so they wouldn't let us use the name.
Very good.
So, did you guys have any other notes on this, or are we good to go in the rating it?
I'm fine. I did just want to say one quick thing, just because we've brought up that it's David E. Kelly and all that, and I just was watching it, and all I could think of the whole movie was this is 100% you can tell that this person is their career is in TV, because it was so dialogue heavy, and I feel like the banter was its strength, but a lot of other stuff is just it doesn't make sense, and it's just I'm gonna write all this banter. Oh wait, I need a fucking plot to hang it on. Oh, Jaws, like you said, with the sprinkling of Jurassic Park thrown in, and put it all in a blender and there we go.
I agree. There was a lot of verbal sparring in the movie, and it was probably like the stronger points of the movie, but it was also the sort of thing where it felt like all these people kind of hated each other. They hated each other until they had to either force a romance or something like that, or they had to work together.
Well, yeah, because they needed the like Barbie witty one-liners at each other,
it was just
right?
all the time, just, you know, people like zingers.
Firing.
Yeah. We never mentioned like Hector just constantly stumbling in the traps throughout the movie. Or not Hector, sorry, not Hector. The other guy. Hank, yeah.
That
just,
was
like,
so funny to me.
So stupid. There's like at
God
least
damn it.
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 scenes that just end with him like slowly walking backwards off camera and I don't know, falling into a hole or getting strung up into a tree or something like that. I was just like,
Steve Miner does like humans getting caught in traps. Just saying.
I mean, always. I just feel like the trap, even like you can throw it in with the dialogue. To me, when they made this, there's no way they weren't thinking like this movie's going to be great when it's chopped up and on television. Like this is just really going to play out. We'll fade into commercial when the sheriff just falls into a trap and everyone has a good laugh, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, this movie 82 minutes long. Did it feel 82 minutes long to you guys?
Felt longer.
Yeah.
I will say this, it didn't overstay its welcome, and it didn't seem like super short.
I'm in the same boat.
I actually thought
the
pacing was okay.
Okay. When I was watching
it, I was very bored. I cut my teeth on these movies, so it kind of like,
I thought the length was fine, but I did think for something that's supposed to be like a horror movie, I didn't feel the action or like there was enough like action or killing in it really like to hold my interest for the whole thing. But even with that, like I was like, it's not that long. It did breeze through, but I wish there had been more to it. More bite than bark is what I wish.
On a big fat log.
Well, the only other question I had is, are we looking forward to Lake Placid 2? Because this very much ends with a sequel bait. I'm hoping that this big crocodile will come back to the lake and have all of her babies there and whatnot, and it'll just be like mayhem. Has any of us seen like the sequel or
no?
No.
It's important to mention also all the sequels that Sci-Fi Channel. They're all done by the Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, listeners, you guys will find out, as you'll know, at the end of the episode when Mike announces his next pick, Lake Placid 2.
Lake Placid 18, The Revenge.
So with that, let's land the speedboat. And do you land a speedboat? No, you park it. We'll park the speedboat and get into rating it. If you're new to the program, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Mike, what would you give Lake Placid?
Okay, Lake Placid, or Lake Flaccid as I call it. No, I'm kidding. Although, actually... Listen, I was not looking forward to rewatching this for many reasons. It was like very begrudging viewing. It was obviously garbage by any measure. Like, let's be real. And that's not necessarily a drag. Like, I do love garbage, but like, I don't know, there's something about, like I mentioned earlier, like I cut my teeth on these late 90s like kind of budget Hollywood like horror adventure-y type movies, and I don't know, I just really like the vibe of it. I love the cast. I thought that it was very much like, I loved that element of the like TV kind of banter, even though it didn't make a whole lot of sense. But I don't know, I kind of like, take me to there, And it was very harmless, and, it didn't make a lot of sense, but I don't know, honestly, it was an okay. I'm not saying I would never watch it again, so I'm actually surprised by that. I didn't hate it. I really didn't hate it. I thought I was going to. So me giving it an okay, literally blows my mind, to be quite honest. Colton, I think we need to hear from you.
Do you prefer the elevated horror Colton picks, the A24 Jason ones, or the Troll and Troll 2 and Lake Placid picks, Mike?
Oh man, that is a question for the ages.
No.
Do they both make me want to walk into traffic sometimes? Yes.
That's fair. That's fair. God, I don't know where I sit with this one. I was very bored watching it. Like, once again, maybe it was just me on my phone too much, not paying enough attention. But honestly, like a lot of it was just verbal sparring and just, watching to see when the crocodile would kind of like rear its head again for 30 seconds. And for me, it was just like, I like Jaws. I like Jurassic Park. I'd way rather watch one of those than kind of sit through this. I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot that I enjoyed. I thought the crocodile looked okay. I did get some laughs at it. The cast is fine. But it's not. I don't think this would be something I'd go back and watch again. Do I want to give it a nay or an okay? I don't know. I think I'm going to go with a nay.
Oh, dang. On your own pick.
On my own pick. I didn't enjoy it very much.
I respect that. No, I respect that.
I think I have to just be honest, that's all. It's like I'm thinking in my head, what am I going to rate this on Letterboxd? It's going to be like a 2 stars. I'm not going to like recommend it wholeheartedly to people, right? Like, I don't know. I like crocodiles. I like alligators. I used to have shirts of them all the time as a kid. And for some reason, I didn't watch this when I was like 9 years old, when it probably would have been my favorite movie of all time. So,
it would have been like a 4-star.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm going to give it a very gentle nay. I have to be true to myself.
Yes,
what about you, Jill?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mike on this one and also give it an okay.
Okay.
I was kind of grumbling when I was putting it on. I was like, watch this today, and I was like, I don't feel good about this one. But it's actually a pretty enjoyable time. Honestly, this is like top tier stream screens material. Like if this was on Tubi, me and Rowan would slay the shit out of that on Stream Screams. This is something, like, if you're having friends over, and you're just hanging out or drinking, or you just want something to put on in the background, but also casually watch. This is very easy to follow. It's not that long. It's got a lot of funny one-liners that people are going to hear and crack up at. Some stupid shit in it. Actually, I can respect the gore in this as well. We're talking about, is this a horror movie? Is it not a horror movie? It does have some horror elements, like the body that's split in half at the very beginning. The entrails coming out of that looked pretty cool, honestly, and the decapitated head as well. Really, 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 really love the cast, like we talked about. I think Kelly's character is super funny. I love that she's just like always getting like thrown off the boat or the truck, or severed heads falling on her. I love Hector. I love Hank. But yeah, it's not a great movie, but it is pretty fun. So, Rowan. Yeah.
You know what? I think I'm going to revise it. And the reason why is I'm looking at my letterbox here, and the last few things I gave 2 stars is like The Exorcism with Russell Crowe, which I very much didn't enjoy. And and Twisters and Trap. Spoilers for the Now Slang review. And I very much didn't enjoy any of those movies. So I'm going to give Lake Placid a 2.5 stars. So I'll say it's pretty mediocre. So I'll go with a very gentle okay, I guess.
Okay.
Rather than a nay. I'm revising it. I'm
very
sorry.
seldom achieved in episode revising.
Revising
your
yeah.
rating.
Yeah.
Unanimous.
All right, I'm sorry, Rowan. I stole your thunder. You go.
Yeah, so, I mean, when I watch this, I kind of think, I made a note that I didn't get to that was like, to me, this is an example why I can understand that there is like a faction of people that don't really like consider like creature features like this necessarily horror, like especially when they're like real animals or, they're not like monsters or anything. And I can get that vibe from this. And then I was also thinking that I talked a lot of shit about this movie while we discussed it. But I was like, I was never like that offended by it. Like, while I was watching it, like a couple giggles were had. I think like one of the stupid jump scares made me jump in the middle of the night. Like just like, like a body part flying out or something.
Oh, the beaver jump scare right at the beginning.
Yeah, that's what it was. The beaver jump scare.
Yeah.
Like,
anyways.
But, like, and I thought, as offensive now as the dialogue would be, like, I'm like, okay, it's the 90s, and, you get a laugh just because of how, kind of TV drama it's all written and all that. We never do get to find out what happened to Kevin and, his dating every woman he works with, how that works out for him. But I also thought this is a great movie. I have a VHS player in my bedroom. I'm one of those guys, like, I love falling asleep to, like, a VHS playing of, like, just something, like Army of Darkness or, like, something that's, like, horror, but usually light.
Also has Bridge of Fonda in it.
Yeah,
Just
also.
throwing that out there.
And I was like, Lake Placid's, like, probably a pretty good one where, like, I can be falling asleep. I don't really have to pay attention, but if I'm awake, it's fun enough that I could just kind of play it. Like we said before, the poster, the VHS cover, just banger anyway. So I'll be happy to put it in. So I think we're in unison here. I think I'm gonna give it an okay. It was an okay time, and it's not Jaws, but is it pretty close to Jaws? Sure. Yeah, it's definitely a 4.5-star movie. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think it deserves an okay. So yeah, 4 okays for Lake Placid. We all come.
I don't remember the last time that we all got like literally unanimously. Gave something the same rating.
This is very
well. It happens every now and then with a sleigh, but
yeah.
I don't know if it's like
something
with,
really
like,
classic.
okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, let's all get excited about giving it an okay. The bar is so low, literally.
So we told you what we thought of the film, and we asked you what you thought, and we did get a couple answers in. So Charlene wrote in and said, truthfully, it's awful, but damn do I love it. It's a comfort movie for me. So they're giving it a slay. One slay for, like, you know what? You never be ashamed.
It's a great comfort.
Never be ashamed of your comfort movies. You do you. Then we had Liam from Seen Unseen. They said the DVD cover of this at Alan's Video scared me so much.
That's relatable. I loved Alan's.
Now, sadly, Alan's was shutting down when I first moved there, the one on Elizabeth Ave. So I only got to go to Alan's like once or twice because they were just clearancing everything they had. And I went in like a madman. I bought like all these like DVDs,
that's where I got all
Blu-rays.
of my old VHS, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I've got to have this stuff. So that's the only time I went in Alan's Video. But we said a bunch of times, like, this poster was like in Blockbuster. It was in every, even indie video store.
Yeah.
Just like iconic 90s poster. Friend of the podcast, author Brad Dunn, wrote in with one word. He just said bad. I'll open the questions part up now because Brad had a follow-up question, and we did have another question from someone else. But Brad wanted to know, when Brendan Gleeson says sarcastic, do you think that was a blooper they just left on? So I know exactly what he's talking about. It's at the beginning of the movie, and he randomly just says sarcastic. He says it a bunch of times in his sentence, but then in a scene, he just randomly says it where it cuts to him. He says sarcastic and there's no other dialogue. It just like cuts off. Like, I also think that it was probably maybe a mistake that they left in. I could also see like him mumbling sarcastic, saying the guy was sarcastic. But yeah, there is a spot where he says sarcastic and you can tell it's like 80 yard or something.
Oh, interesting. The only time I remember him saying sarcastic was in reference to Kelly. You know, he says something along the lines. I can't remember what he says, but she's, she's a pain in the ass and sarcastic or something like that.
He says it a lot in the movie.
And a saucy flirt.
Yeah.
Oh, I do love the word saucy. Because I got called it a lot growing up.
You is saucy. That's it.
Every 2 days.
But yeah, that beginning scene, he says it like 3 or 4 times. I know exactly the one Brad's talking about, where I was like, wait a second, they're like, there's an error in this or something. And they were just like, sure, why not? And, but you know what? Good for him. Good for him just sliding those mistakes in there. I mean, it could be worse. We could be talking about his atrocious accent, but that's all right. So then we had another question come in from Whorehound James, and he asked, what is the last movie you left the cinema during? Mine was Bottoms. Absolute dog meat.
Bottoms?
Bottoms.
I mean, Bottoms was nowhere near bad enough to walk out of the theater for.
Yeah, I don't know, James. I don't know if
it's abrasive and it's zany and it goes like way over the top than what I was expecting. But
I love Bottoms. I liked it.
I'll bet you do.
Oh, I've never like left a movie.
Like, have you ever left a movie and you're like, nah, I'm good?
No, because I'll sit there and I'll get my money's worth. In this economy, I'm going to sit there, I'm going to eat my popcorn. You know, I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving.
Same, Jill. I don't leave movies ever. I always suffer through them. Other than when I was like 13 or 14 and I was on a date to go see Mission Impossible 3.
Oh, dear.
And someone from my class came up and sat next to me and the girl I was dating, and he started like hitting on her, and I just got uncomfortable, so I got up and left.
You got cocked at the movie theater?
I got up and left and went and sat outside, and I was like, you know what, maybe she'll come out in a minute. And I mean, she did come out like a few minutes later, but I remember I left the theater and I sat outside at like near the emergency exit, and I looked across like the parking lot into the field, and there was just a moose standing there. And I was
this explains so much, Colton. This is why you're a sad boy.
What the fuck? But anyways, I was cucked during Mission Impossible 3.
Sad little cuck boy.
Yeah, so I was sad. I got to see a moose out of it, and she joined me probably like 10 minutes later.
What happened in those 10 minutes, though?
I'll never know. It still hangs over my head.
Oh, I think we know, and it definitely didn't take 10 minutes.
Oof. But yeah, no, I think that's literally the only time I can remember leaving a movie. I puked during Pokemon 2000 as well, and I might have like ran away for a little bit, but I think I stuck that one out. I don't think I actually left the theater. Yeah, just Mission Impossible 3 for me.
I had explosive diarrhea during Annihilation, and I still didn't leave that. I still kept going back and having to go back out to the bathroom again.
Oh, I was hoping you were just like, yeah, I was just running down my legs, you know.
That's a long one too, Mike. That's a long movie.
Oh, it's a long one. Yeah,
it was. Seat,
I had to get my friend on the way home to pull over on the side of the highway. I was like, I'm not gonna make it. I had 10 minutes to get home, and I was not gonna make it. I will tell you the last time, or actually it's probably the only time I've ever walked out of a movie, and it was Halloween Resurrection.
Oh my god. You're dramatic.
We wanted to walk out of it literally 10 minutes into the movie. I was like, nope.
Give Busta Rhymes his respect. Jeez.
No, listen, Tyra was in it, and that couldn't even know. The opening kill in that, literally, it was me and my best friend and like one or two other people, and she was like, yeah, fuck this shit, I'm calling my mom to come pick us up now, so you can come or not. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't want to stay for this movie anyway, but I guess I'm like you guys. I would even, like back then, I would always stick it out because I'm like, fuck it, we paid however much for this. But I was like, honestly, I'm not mad to be leaving now. I totally get it. Like, let's go. And then I had to watch it like on DVD or something like months later or next year or something. It was like probably the last 10, 15 minutes we walked out of.
Oh, geez. Okay, so you basically stuck it out. Another one that I didn't leave, but I left the theater like 4 or 5 times during, because even like now I always like pee right before I go into the movie, and basically like I'll explode my bladder essentially before I leave the theater. It's like a problem. But King Arthur and the Legend of the Sword, that like awful movie from a few years ago. I remember with Charlie Hunnam as King Arthur. I remember I was so checked out of it that I went to the bathroom like 4 times during the movie. And one of those times when I was there, I'm probably just like dribbling out like nothing because it was the 4th time going to the washroom. I was literally like, what am I doing with my life? Like, why am I watching this?
Why are we talking about you dribbling in the bathroom?
Because Charlie Hunnam was in the movie.
I also really have to pee right now, and you're making it worse.
Well, it was just literally like I wanted an excuse to leave the theater, but I didn't want to leave. So I just kept going to take a piss over and over again. So yeah, that movie is awful. But yeah, no,
I don't have one. I've never walked out of a theater. I mean, James, I watched Sharkula and watched the entire thing, so I've got the resistance of
stamina.
The stamina for anything. But I think with that, we're gonna go to, I feel like gonna be a very epic, horrific hotline. Go over and see what our boy Nicholas has to say. He was the only one that sent one in, or did he send one in?
Well, after we all watched Jaws, which is probably the best shark movie ever made. Colton made us watch Shark Attack 2. At least I hope that is the pick, because I only got the pick by sliding into Colton's DMs. Yeah, Shark Attack 2 is not good. I thought it was pretty boring. I hoped for a bit more fun, but I didn't have any. The best part of the movie were the stock footage scenes of sharks, which were nice to look at, but that's about it. Every time a shark really attacks, it's just a weird cutting back and forth, not really focusing on anything. I didn't really know who got attacked until afterwards, and the story around it is just...
But this kind of also
so
tracks with this
boring
movie.
and at points so frustrating. Like in Jaws, you get the feeling why the sheriff wants to close the beach, but why the others don't, or like the mayor doesn't want him to, and you get the conflict of interests, and also why the sheriff kind of has to keep the beach open maybe, and how he gets talked to by different people. And in this movie, there is like this one guy, like the main character is like, yeah, we shouldn't do this.
Bill Pullman, yeah.
And afterwards the kind of evil person is like, yeah, this is your fault, even though he told... I don't know, it doesn't make any sense. Didn't like the movie. That's a definite nay for me, and I hope you all dislike this movie as much as I did.
Loved it.
Loved it.
Yeah, Nicholas, we didn't watch Shark Attack 2 again. Oh my god.
Apologize.
I'm not going to apologize because that's a great voicemail. I'm here like crying on the other end. Nicholas, I haven't seen Shark Attack 2 since like my 8th or 9th birthday party, whenever it was. And you describing it as just like stock footage of sharks, like intercut like with people like getting attacked is like probably accurate. I don't know. I would have enjoyed that back in the day, but I'm not exactly shocked that it wasn't very good.
We apologize to all the listeners. I have no idea what's going on. But yes, Colton let him know in advance.
Yeah, well, he said it in the voicemail that
he
slid into my DMs to ask me like what my pick was going to be because we didn't announce it yet. And at the time, I thought it was really funny to do like a really good shark movie and then a really, really bad shark movie. But then I just swapped it out with a really bad shark movie to a crocodile movie. And Nicholas was just, caught in the crossfire. So let's actually...
compensation, let us know.
Yeah, that's what we do to our horror hounds that have been supporting us for like, a year and a half and calling into the show all the time. So let's listen to the Lake Placid thoughts. Let's see what Nicholas has to say about these.
Of all, Colton, thank you so much for having me watch Shark Attack 2. What a life-changing experience. However, since my hiking trip was a bit shortened due to very bad weather, I was able to watch Lake Placid on my phone, just like Mike did Jaws. And first of all, I think Lake Placid is the movie you should watch on your phone, unlike Jaws, because you don't miss too much. I don't think Lake Placid is the worst movie ever.
That's Shark Attack 2.
And I struggle to think of a really, really good crocodile movie. There's this Australian movie,
Rogue's pretty good.
Rogue, I think.
Yeah!
Nice.
Crawl's pretty good,
I think those are alligators, not sure. I liked those two. Lake Placid, it's fine. There are some fun scenes, but it's mostly pretty bland and boring, with the characters either standing in the woods, standing in their tents, or sitting on a boat and talking nonsense. The crocodile is in the movie way too little for the kind of movie Lake Placid wants to be. So if it wants to be Jaws, then sure, don't show the crocodile too much, but it tries to be funny and a bit trashy, and you don't see the crocodile often enough for that. So I would have said put more crocodile in it. However, it was nice to see some faces like Brendan Gleeson as the sheriff. Did not expect him in the movie, and in such a prominent role. I thought he'd be a goner after the opening credits. Cool. So overall, I'm landing on an okay for this one. I hoped for more, but I still think it's better than whatever 20 Lake Placid movies there are to come, which I secretly hope you will never cover on the podcast because I'm not sure I can watch a Lake Placid versus Anaconda 3 Legacy or whatever the title of those are. So, all in all, okay. Bit sad about Shark Attack 2, but let's wait for it. Maybe it will come back around next year for JAWGUST Part 2, The Revenge.
No, please no. No more JAWGUST.
Yes. Yes, Nicholas. Setting up our theme month for next year.
Mike's face is so angry right now.
I think now at some point we definitely have to do Shark Attack 2. I don't know when. Probably no time soon. But yeah, just when it's faded from Nicholas's memory enough that he has to rewatch it again. That's when we'll choose.
Wow, that's just torture.
And then Colton will immediately change his pick. He'll message us and be like, "Hey, I changed it.
Hey, I'm gonna do Lake Placid versus Anaconda instead." But yeah, if you want to be like Nicholas and send us a voicemail, get on the horrific hotline, you can do so through emailing us at itslaispodcast@gmail.com or messaging us on any of our socials at itslaispodcast. And if you're not following us already, you can do so at It Slays Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Slasher, Letterboxd, Threads, Bluesky. If there's a social media, we're probably there at It Slays Podcast. And if you want to help support the show financially, like our horror hounds Holly, Nicholas, Patrick, Mark, Stephen, Joy, Dan, Brian, Trevor, and James, gain access to the Patreon exclusive show Stream Screams hosted by Jill, and get episodes of this here main show 48 hours early, be sure to head on over to patreon.com/itslayspodcast and choose whatever tier works best for you. Rowan, are there any jams in this movie?
I don't think so. I don't think
whatsoever.
You're
going to put on the playlist. No,
I'm not going to ruin the playlist with
Tom Jones.
Yeah, maybe Tom Jones. It's not unusual.
All of a sudden, it's like Suspiria soundtrack, and then fucking Tom Jones, and all you can picture is like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Exactly. But yeah, go to the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist on Spotify. If you have any problems finding it, you can go to any of the social media that Colton just mentioned. Go to the bio, click the Linktree link. It'll take you directly there. We upload scores and licensed music from horror movies we review, iconic horror movies, or just horror movies we love. So go follow the playlist. We update it regularly and get your spooky music on, because why the hell not? And with that, all that is left is to announce our upcoming episode, and it is a Mike pick, and it is not a themed month, so Mike is a happy boy. Mike, what should these people be watching?
Okay, so get your eyeballs on if you can, because it's tipping towards obscure. The 1990 Tobe Hooper TV movie, I'm Dangerous Tonight, with some horror legends in it. And directed by a horror legend.
Nice. Some Tobe Hooper. I don't know. Have we?
We love Tobe Hooper.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't know if we've ever done any Tobe Hooper on here before.
Other than Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas Chainsaw. But I'm thinking of like other stuff, like not Texas Chainsaw. Yeah.
Not the one that you would have seen. Yeah. Gotcha.
So get your eyeballs on I'm Dangerous Tonight, and we will be back in 2 weeks. Thank you for all the support. As always, I'm your humble host, Rowan.
Bye, it's Mike.
And I'm Colton.
Bye, it's Jill.
See you later, alligator.